So I have like my downloaded seasons of Dario with all that like copyrighted music, and then I got like the DVD set when it came out with like the generic stuff.
Elevator music.
It's something like that, or like generic pop music when Boom Bop was supposed to be on like one scene or something. Yeah.
And in Beavis and Butthead when they're watching the music videos.
Yeah, they can't show that stuff either. And those are the best, like half the best parts of that show is them making fun of music videos.
Okay, I guess we should get started officially. So all of that stuff prior was deniable. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'll just give you a 5-minute intro to what AnimEigo is currently doing, and then we'll open up the floor for questions, in particular questions about like how we do work, the history of the company, and how we do things. My name is Robert Woodhead. I'm the founder and CEO of the company. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves, please?
I mean, I kind of would like to.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Hey, I'm Dustin Copeland. I've done a few projects, video stuff for Robert. One of the main ones I did that's out now is Otaku in a Video. I did some music videos in the, like if you mess up on that like Otaku code or whatever, yeah, like some of my stuff will show up on there. And I gave you a bunch of stuff. I don't even know what all you put on there. I just know you put the one on there that I did that you and your wife liked.
Yep.
Yeah, was that it?
I think there's okay, what he's talking about is there's this Easter egg on the disc, such that everybody who backed the project has their own personalized Easter egg code that gets them to a certificate with their name on it that actually shows on the screen. But if you enter the codes incorrectly, it will jump to some like failure videos, and there's a whole bunch of, I think several of yours are on there. And it pops up randomly which failure video you
Yeah,
get.
I mean, I did the ones with the live action segments, and I did that with like the certain music, because I worked on that for like 2 months, like off and on, like when I was also working with my dad too. So like I come home in the evenings and work on, making the AMV I did for like, that took about 3 weeks. It was only a minute and a half. And my thought was like, when I make this, I want people to like laugh so hard they're peeing themselves. I don't know if I got to that point, but Robert said like, oh man, hell yeah, this thing's awesome. My wife and I love it. And I was like, well, I did my job well. So.
Yeah, so basically, as a company, we like doing weird stuff like that. We never met a silly idea we didn't like. And that has sort of been the secret to our success, is that there seems to be a market for doing strange things in the video business. Sasha, you want to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. My name's Sasha McGlynn. I've been working with Robert since Otaku no Video, the Otaku no Video Kickstarter. I missed out on Bubblegum Crisis. As for what I do,
Well, show 'em.
basically I've worked on the subtitles, almost all the print stuff. I proof when Robert does the books. I designed the Otaku no Video art books and drew all the covers.
It's a very nice art book.
I recreated missing art for Otaku no Video. I'm also the one that designs the patches and the rubber straps. Thank you. And the pins, like the From May with Love pin that's going to be coming out, and the challenge coin. So if it needs doing, I'm usually stupid and I hop in and I volunteer. So keeps me busy.
And so you've been slowly sort of changing from a fan into a professional.
Yeah, I was a volunteer for Otaku no Video. And I just threw myself into it because I was in a horrible dead-end job that's super depressing, and that gave me an outlet, and it made me feel so great to be appreciated for something I was working on. And so that was a volunteer thing, and then the next one I became a crowd mentor, a crowd volunteer mentor. So I kind of like orient everybody, the volunteers that came in. And then for this past project, he brought me on as contractor. So.
That's one of the more interesting things about these crowd production projects that we've been doing with these Kickstarters, is that it's been really fun, seeing people step up and really come in as fans, but then do professional level work, and several of them, including Sasha, have gone to get into the industry that way. Anyway, let me just quickly spin through this presentation so we can get to the good stuff. So, yes, 30 years of avoiding bankruptcy. We are the oldest anime company in the United States and the sole survivor of the original AnimEigo.
Do you want those pictures for that?
Nah.
I was hoping
We'll
to
show them later.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say I got photos of Robert being at AnimeCon '91. It was a sub versus dub panel. You can find the video on YouTube. It's got members of U.S. renditions, John O'Donnell from U.S. Manga Corps, and Carl Masick on the panel. Carl Masick did about 70% of the talking. So that'll tell you something.
Well, he's a dub guy. You'd expect that.
Yeah, it's got to be in English. But it's kind of interesting. You look at that and you're like, hey, all of those but one are no longer here. And so then we have, 30 years later, Robert's still kicking. He's got stuff coming out. And we're thankful we got jobs with him.
Yeah, I often say that I feel like the guy from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, the all out, I'm not dead yet! I'm getting better!
I feel happy.
Yeah. So anyway, our current project here, Gunsmith Cats, we're just about to go into production, just cleaning up a few, getting a few last pieces of artwork from Mr. Sonoda. We did, this has been like the most complicated project we've done so far. We've got like multiple commentary tracks. We've got 2 Japanese commentary tracks. We've got an English commentary track. We're doing all sorts of bizarre goodies, which were all pretty much suggested by crowdfunding backers, including like somebody basically said, do rubber straps. I'd never even heard of these silly things. And yet we just looked at it and said, yeah, that's kind of a good idea. So we actually, got some artwork and sent it off to a Chinese company and said, can you try something with this? And this was the result. It's completely awful. You can come up here and see it later. So we learned from that, like what not to do, because we'd never done one of these things before. And that's part of the fun of these projects, is that we have the time and the budget to like mess up a little bit, so we can try things that maybe won't work. And every so often they do work, and it comes out really nicely. Like Sasha's patches, they're just come up after and take a look at these things. They're just the quality of these. The company we found that does these.
Oh, yeah, I'm wearing her patches actually on my jacket. So
yeah, we're now doing one of these for every project, and they're just insane quality. We just love them. So anyway, you can still get in on it. We are locking down the disc in a week or 2, so you can still get your name on the disc, because every backer gets their name on the disc, so you can point to yourself. It's a really fun project, and it's a fun. Any of you who've seen the show know that it's a really fun show. So yeah, here's like the coin designs, the patches. This was a silly idea, but it turned out really nicely.
Yeah.
With the little pin, those guys. This is something we tried for the first time, which is to have a sticker set that goes into the actual package. And so we were planning to put 1 set of stickers in the package, but then we found out what the price breaks on them, and we said it doesn't cost us that much more, so we'll put 2 in, so we doubled the order. And then we got them, and the Chinese company that printed them made a mistake and used the previous version of the file. So the mistake was that the copyright got printed wrong. So now I've got 15,000 sticker sheets that have the wrong copyright on them. Now there are 2 ways you can solve this problem. One is
Burn them.
And print them again.
I was thinking bathroom stalls too.
The other is, which I didn't want to do because it seemed like a great waste, and also the sales representative of the Chinese company was probably going to get fired if that happened, because she messed up and not checked the final file. So I found out how much it would cost to get correction stickers made, and then I corrected them. So any of you, I absolutely guarantee that everybody who gets this set is going to get, my DNA is on each one of these things.
Can you pass that down?
Let me see it.
You,
I had a little
right
help.
there.
yeah, it's because I had there was a different copyright.
Yeah, originally we had different copyright, and then Kodansha asked us to tweak the copyright, which we did, but then the old copyright got, yeah. So this is the kind of screw-ups that happen in production. You have to deal with it. Typically, you know, when you buy just a typical commercial product, you'll never hear about these mess-ups, okay? But the weird thing is, in these crowd production limited edition sets, when we screw up, that's content. Because then I can put out a report about like how we screwed up and how we fixed it, which is then something that's of interest to people. So, so for bizarre reasons, we almost like screwing up a little bit, so that a screw up that doesn't cost us too much money is a good screw up because it ends up being worth it to us. So anyway, our next project, which will be coming out this summer, I'm currently actually collecting all the materials we have. AD Vision has been very helpful, and they managed to dig up the original 5.1 masters. So we're going to have uncompressed 5.1 audio for the English dub. We're working on getting the other English dubs because each of these shows has been dubbed multiple times. We're going to be going to get new Mikimoto art for this. He's already agreed to do it. We're going to, and yeah, one of the things we're actually experimenting with is paintings, like inkjet on canvas paintings of original art, which we think might be something people are interested in. So anyway, it's basically going to be a total superset of the original Japanese Blu-ray release. There's going to be extra stuff. We've actually dug up some extra sete and other materials that are also going to be in it. And we're continuing to do what we refer to as combat archaeology, to try and dig up stuff from various sources to fit in the set. This is a piece of Mikimoto art that he did for the Japanese release. Like I said, he's going to do a new piece of Eve art for our release. And I'll just play this for you. This is, so a lot of people ask me what it's really like to work in the anime business. This is what it's really like.
I can watch this all day.
I'm just waiting for the bottle of Jack to come out.
No, you see
There's
that?
no sound coming out, but there's this really hokey soundtrack at this point. Oh, it's coming out.
Oh, wait. Oh, let me fix that.
I actually got up to the point where I could do 10 of these a minute.
Poor man. Why didn't you tell me this happened?
Oh, I was saving this. It actually got to be kind of zen after a while. I'd listen to podcasts and just like, whenever I needed a break, I would just go and do this for 30 minutes. For a month and a half.
Is this why we didn't hear from you often?
Yeah, this is why I quit sound for a while.
I can see why you took so many vacations.
Yeah.
It's not sitting on the other side laughing?
Natsumi buggered off to Japan while I was doing this.
Oh.
This goes on altogether too long, and I don't.
Can't even stop it.
That's the,
Yeah,
that's the rest of the panel. It's
Well,
just-
actually, there is a little coda to the end, so I'll just let it run. I'll talk over top of it. But yeah, this is what it's really like to work in the anime business. I mean, it may sound like glamour, but it's basically a lot of constant, painstaking work. And even after you think you got it right, you get emails from your QC testers that say your use of hyphens in this word, in the word "hit woman" is inconsistent. Please fix it. I actually got that email last week.
What?
Yeah.
Who's been messing with my subtitles?
Well, you know, and we won't even.
I just remember.
I actually had to build that little device to hold the stickers.
I just remember, what was it? I went through the. No, never mind. No, I was gonna say I remember I asked you something about the commentary tracks with on the Guns with Cats thing, and I was just like, man, who's this Joker from ADV that made this? I was like, and you were kind of like, I'm the one that wrote it. I was like, oh. Here are some of my corrections.
Oh, I have actually, the toughest thing for me to do is captioning English commentary tracks, because it's very hard to tell speakers apart, especially if it's a mixed track where you don't have like stereo audio cues. Like when we do a Japanese commentary track, we record people over in Japan, we get a separate audio track for each microphone, and then I can cue them so that like one guy's on the left and one guy's on the right, and if there's a third person, they're in the middle, which makes it really a lot easier to figure out who's talking. But I have older ears now, and so when I'm doing an English commentary like I did on Guns with Cats, they're English commentary tracks. Sometimes it's really hard to tell who's talking, especially two guys who both have deep voices. It drives me nuts sometimes. But you have to puzzle through it. And then I have young people with good ears to tell them when I'm wrong.
Well, the one I had was the Matt Greenfield, Tiffany Grant commentary, and Tiffany, she's got a very unique voice that stands out above Matt's, and so I was able to pick up what she said a whole lot better. And I was kind of like, I don't know why this says inaudible, like I can clearly hear what she says. And then she's Oscar Unplugged, IRL. She's cool. I hung out with her like a couple months ago at a con, so it was really cool.
Yeah, she also helped a lot with, like, I've sent her quite a few emails saying like, what are you saying here? Or actually, she's actually helped on a couple of lines in the main program where we weren't quite sure who was talking.
Okay.
Where we'd gotten the original shooting script, but there was an ad lib in it. We didn't quite know, is that Becky? Who's talking there? And she was able to help out with that. So I like to publicly thank Tiffany for her help on this particular project. She's a real sweetie. Okay, so I'd like to open up the floor for questions. You can ask me anything about the past, the present, the future, and particularly, you have two people who here have spent a lot of time sitting where you are and are now sitting up here. And if you want to ask them, what's the good and bad parts about it, this is a great opportunity, because quite frankly, I would like more people to work with us on these projects and potentially make that transition. I will warn you that we call it working in the sausage factory for a reason, because sometimes after you've worked on one of these projects, you never want to watch this thing, and you'll never want to watch it again. You just like boot up the disc. My name's in the credits. I'm done.
I actually have not watched anything that I worked on for you.
Yeah,
I've gotten them back. I look at it. I'm like, that's gorgeous. It's going on my shelf.
Well,
brings up something.
give it 15 years and you're like, maybe I should watch this today, you know?
Yeah,
And you're like,
but
oh, wow, look at all this great work I did for it.
Yeah, I guarantee you that when you do that, you will see like 3 or 4 errors, and you'll go like, it's like
That's right now.
One of the worst things about doing these Blu-ray re-releases is that the starting point for like when we did Bubblegum Crisis, the starting point was our original, you know, VHS and DVD subtitles. And I'm looking at it going, oh, that's horrible. I thought those were so good. And I'm seeing like all these mistakes that like another 15 or 20 years of experience have taught me, like things I shouldn't do. You know, slight timing errors, or I got to rewrite that because that's so clunky. It's just like sometimes I almost like shudder. That's one of the great things of Megazone 23 is I didn't do it originally, so like I don't have to look back at my old stuff and say about that anymore.
So you're off the hook on that.
I'm off the hook on that.
Good.
Well, also for Gunsmith Cats.
Yeah,
True.
for Gunsmith Cats too. I was very fortunate in that regard. But okay, so open the floor for questions, and we'll just proceed around this way. So we'll go.
Hey, we got a wireless mic. Does anyone want to volunteer giving the mic to people? I mean, like, you want to do it? Yeah, it doesn't matter. I think it'd be easier instead of like, you know.
Yes, because I'm old and hard of hearing. No.
Yeah, no, that wireless mic is very sensitive. It's going to pick up.
Before the panel started, there was a discussion of could you release anime soundtracks on vinyl? And you pointed out how you don't have a vinyl background, you don't know what to do with records, but you also discussed how complicated the music industry is in Japan. And my understanding is that yes, it is all the way complicated. And I believe that you had been looking into the possibility of CD soundtracks as a stretch goal in earlier campaigns. Is that something that would still possibly be viable, or is it just too much of a quagmire to try to work out? And I ask in particular because Megazone 2.3 has such a wonderful soundtrack, and those soundtracks are all the way out of print, and even for 30-year-old anime soundtracks, expensive and difficult to find. So if you can resurrect it, it will be a beautiful miracle, but it seems like it's also probably a terrifying nightmare. So I didn't know, is that something we can dream for, or is it just well beyond possibilities?
You see, the real problem there is that it's possible to do, but you have to look at the time and the effort involved in doing it, and like then how many people would, you know, really want it. I almost think that those things should be done as a separate project. And I'm not sure if I'm the right person to do that. Just as with a vinyl, I'm not sure I'm the right person to do that justice. But again, if somebody really wanted to do that, I would, you know, it's not too much trouble for me to at least point them in the right direction of who they got to talk to. And maybe, you know, provide a little, Natsumi and I can provide a little translation help to get you started along the road. But I really think that might be a project that's better suited to somebody who's really knows a lot more about it than I do. You know, because like I'm pretty tone deaf. I mean, okay, but that yeah, like I said, I'm not sure I'm the right person to do that, but I certainly wouldn't mind somebody doing it, and would, you know, if it's not a huge amount of trouble, I'll help them out.
I have like 2 questions. First, what would you say is your favorite project that you worked on, and what's your favorite kind of like genre of anime, I guess?
Oh, that's actually a very difficult question to answer. There are so many shows that we did that just really enjoyed. From the technical standpoint and from the fact that we're doing something really new and interesting, the Macross box set was pretty cool. Because that was sort of a Kickstarter 15 years before Kickstarter. In terms of the one I got the most satisfaction from, probably releasing that final DVD of Urusei Yatsura. Because although the joke for many years at AnimEigo was that I couldn't die until I released all of Urusei Yatsura. And so we finally got that disc out, and my wife looked at me and said, "Better look both ways before crossing the street."
What? But I think there's a video or a bonus on that last DVD of you like running around the office like, it's done! I think you can
It's on
find
YouTube.
that. Okay, it's on YouTube. That's where I saw it.
It's somebody put it up on YouTube, so you know. In terms of my favorite, just of the anime itself, oh my goodness, it would either be Kindergarten Orange Road or Yawa. Yawa, the fashionable judo girl. But you know, that's just me. I kind of like those kind of shows.
So I'm not very knowledgeable of the industry, but what portion of the time to produce one of these releases is actually taken up by interacting with the original Japanese teams?
Well, there's the licensing period, which can take a couple of years to, especially with the Kickstarters, because it's a bit of a different thing, and people over in Japan are just getting used to it. So that it took 2 years to get the license for Megazone 23. Okay. Once we've got the license, it's usually pretty easy to get in touch with the creative staff, you know, like the character designer or the director, and say, hey, you know, can you do a commentary for us, or can you do some art for us, or stuff like that. And that's actually really pretty easy. It's, you know, a few phone calls. We often know them already because like Kenichi Sonoda, we've known him for like 30 years almost. We've known him almost since the beginning of the company, when Bubblegum Presses came out. So, you know, that's a sort of, we have his email. We have his phone number. So we just call him up and say, hey, what, can you do this? So that's really actually not that difficult. Pre-production can take a lot longer than you might expect. Each one of our Kickstarters has run a bit late, and each one of them has run late for a different and what I like to call interesting reason. But you know, that's actually, like I said before the session started, that's actually sometimes a good thing, because it means that we have a little extra time and we can spend it on improving the product. But you know, that part isn't really that difficult. I mean, you know, for the commentaries on Gunsmith Cats, we did 2 90-minute commentaries with both of them had like 2 or 3 people, and literally that was a single day in the studio. You know, just like morning, lunch, afternoon, and then everyone went out drinking. Mm-hmm. Actually, in the Writing Bean commentary track, we just for shits and giggles. Sorry, pardon my French for the young people in the audience, but we decided, because it was the first time, I think this was we decided that we wanted to do 2 takes of the commentary. Okay, so we decided, just for fun, we would have Mr. Sonoda and his friends come in and do the commentary, and then we take them out to a bar and stuff them full of drinks, and then bring them back and do a second run of the commentary. And then we would pick the best one. It turned out they were both really good and actually quite different. So we have them both on the Writing Bean disc. There's the regular commentary, and then there's the ethanol-fueled commentary.
I gotta say, I think the ethanol one, I learned a lot more out of the commentary track. I just feel like I don't know, I just got more out of it.
The first one was very polite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very formal.
And then the second one, they're just like, you know what happened? This happened. Somebody's
Yeah.
like, I don't think you should talk about it. No, I'm going to talk about
A
it.
lot of snickering.
So,
Yeah, so they're actually kind of happy that disc can't be sold in Japan. Okay, next question.
You kind of answered a lot of mine already, but when it comes to specifically the commentary tracks, are you often flying people out to you in the States, or have you had situations where you're requesting an audio track of someone in Japan watching it from them? What's the process there?
For the Japanese tracks, they're all done in Japan. We have this nice studio that we use that actually produces podcasts all day long. And we just schedule it, and usually either I or Natsumi or both of us happen to be in Japan at the time. Like I go over at least once a year, she goes over twice a year. So we just schedule the sessions for while we're in town so that we can just like be there to make sure everything goes okay. But you know, basically, you know, they just watch the show, and they oftentimes we'll have somebody come in as sort of a host who's like researched the show, so you know, can point out things to sort of keep the conversation going. But these guys are incredibly knowledgeable about their stuff, and there's in every commentary there's been like little tidbits that I didn't know that turn out to like kind of inform my viewing of other shows. In Gunsmith Cat's commentary, for example, there's an explosion at one point, and one of the people says, "Oh, look, it's a Masuo explosion." There's this guy named Masuo, a key animator, who was famous for having his own style of explosions. He unfortunately passed away a little while ago. And so they're saying, yeah, that's one of his. Oh, we're never going to see another Masuo explosion now. And so they started talking about this style of explosion. And I thought to myself, yeah, I've seen that explosion in other animes. Okay, he must have done that, or one of his students must have done that because he influenced a lot of people. And that's actually one of the nicest things about these projects, is that we have the luxury of going and, you know, getting these commentaries and getting the original materials to preserve them, so that you can appreciate a little bit better about the history and the roots of where the industry came from. And I've always been very pleased with like every single time we've done one of these things. There's been at least one or two things in those commentaries that are, oh wow, that's a really cool thing to know. And you know, I personally want to thank the community for making it possible for me to do these things, because it's been that's actually one of the best and coolest things about this, is that I get to know that in some small way I'm helping to preserve that kind of heritage for the future generations, so that they'll know where these kind of things actually came from. What do you guys think about that? What have you learned from doing these, other than it's a horrible job?
I haven't gotten to that point yet, so hopefully I don't.
Oh, good. So you're going to work on things.
No, I don't think
I'm going to do a lot of work.
I think part of me is that I feel like Sasha does a lot of the work, and I've done just only a couple of things, like the music videos. So I don't think I got to that point.
You're not jaded, burned out.
No, not yet. Maybe I should be. I know. At least with you. But I do want to say you're a great boss. Like so far, like I only see you in person like once in a while, and
well, that's the best kind of boss.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So like you're not hounding me for like, you know, production TPS notes or whatever. Yeah, some of you guys have seen Office Space. Nice. That movie's 20 years old. Can you believe that?
we're all old enough.
I know. Okay, but usually you're just like, okay, here's what you got to do it, and you know, it's up to us because we're adults. So like, you know, we'll give it to you as quickly as possible. I feel like I kind of drug my feet on giving you the commentary stuff. I should have done it sooner. So if I'm out of the job after saying that, I understand.
It is what it is.
But I mean, it's already, I didn't delay the project, so like maybe I'm out there. But like I love doing video editing, so anything I can do. I mean, my idea would be, for Megazone to make like some really awesome AMVs with music that we can use. Because I asked you about the Talking to Video main song, and I remember you messaging me like, oh, I gotta get permission from Gynax. I'm like, well, how long is that gonna take? Well, he's like, well, it could be tomorrow or until the sun explodes. And I think within a week later we got a response. The sun is still shining. You can tell by how hot it is outside. So I'm just blessed and thankful and humble that I can do stuff for AnimEigo and slowly get my little pinky toe and my foot in the door of the anime industry in some way. And I actually asked you about a job in person a couple of years ago at Animazement. It was you, me, and Michael Nicholas. Like we're talking in the lobby outside. You did the panel here. You look at me like you don't remember.
Yeah. Well, I'm terrible with faces. Hi.
But I asked you in person after we talked for 45 minutes, and you're like, yeah, shoot me an email or whatever. I'm like, oh, this is awesome, So that's kind of how I got my start. But I was out in the crowd like you guys, and I mean, like you said, if you can contribute anything to these projects, we can definitely take it. And I feel like you give us an equal opportunity to express like our talents and what we can do for these things.
Like there's a commentary on Nuns with Cats. It was done by I'm blanking on their names. Oh,
Is that a guy?
yeah, the center commentary. It's done by a couple of YouTubers.
Ben the Sage?
Yeah,
Bennett?
So,
Okay.
so anyway, so there was a little bit of controversy about it. Actually, the commentary is awesome. It's just like a love letter to the show. They did a really nice job, and the English commentary track has the original commentary that was done by Matt Greenfield and Tiffany Grant. Then Bennett's commentary, and then the final episode is Amanda and
Kimberly Bates.
I was going to ask you if that had been confirmed because there was some inconsistency on the Kickstarter page, but I'm glad you.
Yeah,
it was one of the stretch goals. It happened.
Yeah, I worked on that one too.
So they're all completely different styles of commentary, but they all kind of like have this love for the show that they demonstrate in different ways, and so I was really pleased. But I got some people were a little bit upset about Bennett doing the commentary, and a little bit concerned because he's a little bit of a polarizing character. But they asked me, like, why did you let him do this commentary? And my answer was very simple: because he asked nicely, and because he presented a good plan for what he wanted to do. And that's the absolute truth. And on these kind of projects, if somebody comes to me with an interesting and good idea, okay, and they present themselves in such a way that I think that they can do it, and there's minimal downside risk, I'm going to say, okay, why not? Okay, because I look at it as a way of providing something extra. If you don't like his commentary, well, that's why we have a little button that skips to the next commentary. But I think actually people are going to be very pleasantly surprised by all the commentaries. They're all, well, the original one people may have already heard, but because it was on the DVD back in the day. But the two new English commentaries, they're both just wonderful, sweet things, and they've got a couple of surprises in them which I won't tell anybody about, but when you hear them, I think people will enjoy it. But yeah, I mean, it's like that's one of the things that I really love that these projects give me the flexibility to do, which is when somebody comes with me with an idea, I can just say, okay, like, do rubber straps, okay. And that's how that happened. And so, you should, if you have a particular love for a title we decide to do, and you have an interesting idea of something you want to do, and you can show me that you've got a good chance of being able to do it, and it sort of like fits, I'll probably tell you yes and let you try it. Because unless I let you try it, you'll never know if you can do it or not. And nobody else will know if you can do it or not. And I'd like to have 3 or 4 years from now, I'd like to have like 4 or 5 more people up here, because who like made the transition from being a fan to being a volunteer, or like trying something out for the first time, to being a professional who's now working for other companies. There are several of the other people who've worked on the crowd production projects, or like they're now working in the industry, and I think that's really kind of cool. So, like I said, if you've got a good idea, yeah, okay, right?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I remember some of the controversy with Ben, but that's more like a nerd preference thing. Like, if you like the guy because he's a reviewer, so some people like what he does and some people don't. Like, I have maybe a biased opinion on him, but in the end, this is, a project that Robert brought up. If he says we can do it, what's the harm in that? And for me, I respected your decision. So, like, I didn't want to make a big stink out of it. I don't think I did.
No.
But I mean, if you're saying the commentary track's good, then I think it's worth listening. I mean, regardless of whatever you think of the people we have on there. So if the quality of the work speaks, the volumes, and they do a really good job, and it's very interesting, then do check it out. So that's all I gotta say. Okay. Oh, no, I didn't even put you on the spot.
No, I guess it's for. Oh, you go.
Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Are there any materials that were really hard to get a hold of, in particular, or ones that you just couldn't get in any of these projects that you are still kind of languishing over?
Oh, there's a couple projects that we want to do that we can't do because there are no film materials left. There's only the SD videotapes. And we sort of live in hope that the film will someday appear. We have had bizarre situations. Just trying to remember which film it was. I'm going to say it was My Youth in Arcadia, but I may be wrong, but whatever. We had a film where we wanted to dub it, and the license said that we had the right to the music and effects track, and that they had the music and effects track, and so we asked them for it, and it's like, well, here's the thing. We had a flood at the tape archive, and the music and effects tape for that film floated down the river. This is an absolute true story. This actually happened. But it took a year, but we put the word out that we were still looking for the materials. Did anyone have it? And it turned out one of the recording engineers who originally worked on the project had kept a copy of all of his tapes, and he had a copy. But the copy had been stored in his closet for 15 years in his air-conditioned apartment. So to say that this magnetic tape was delicate would be an understatement. But we got it anyway, and of course it was in an obsolete format that nobody used. And so we had to spend another 3 months finding somebody in the United States who had a machine that could read these tapes. And so we told him about it, and he said, okay, I'll take on the challenge. And these are all like real, these weren't cassettes, these were reel-to-reel audio tapes, like multi-track audio tapes. And he called us up after he got the tapes, and he said, well, basically these tapes are going to get to go through the machine once because the oxide is going to flake off them. And so he literally had one run to get it right and managed to get the audio off the tapes so that we could release it. But by the end of that, basically he was literally, between reels of the tapes, he was having to clean the machine because so much oxide had flaked off, cracked off the tapes. But that's part of the problem, is that materials, back in the day, I mean, nobody thought that this stuff was going to ever get re-released or needed to be really preserved. Once they had the videotape master, it was like, wow, the film, wow, put it over there somewhere. And a lot of it got lost. So yeah, there's like a couple of titles that I know you guys want, that I want, that I can't do right now. So I've been investigating using deep neural networks to up-res. Actually, it's starting to get practical where what you can do is, if you have some film elements of the show or a similar show with a similar art style, you can use that to train the network, and then you can use that to up-res from SD to HD and get something that actually looks pretty good.
I would pay for the like intermediate one where it's still learning and it looks like a nightmare. If you could release that too, I mean, that's my jam. So, I'm just saying. And
So-
also for voices and sound effects and stuff, if you could do a neural network thing of that too. I just want a horror movie. Can we just get some horror in here?
Well, you want a real horror movie, not what's out in theaters, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's
Oh.
sucking. Hold
I
on.
was like, is he
Keep talking
is he
while I
bringing it
do
up
this.
now?
He's like, speaking of.
Oh, you're talking about neural networks and stuff. I don't know why that made me think of Ghost in the Shell, but I mean, I remember you asked me to be up here, and I was kind of like, I think we're just kind of here to prove people that real people work for Robert and not just Tachcomas. You know, like, Mr. Robot, you know, I've tried to work on the reel here and it won't master right. Just running around his house or something. And each one is labeled Sasha, Dustin, Logan. And
I'm getting paid $20 to pretend to be Sasha, and then I'm going home.
that's what you're getting?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Negotiate.
I got so chapped.
Negotiate.
In reality, they're just heads in bottles.
We're astro projecting, I think.
Next,
Yeah.
we got,
Yeah, we'll take a real question now.
and then we get.
Okay, go ahead, man.
Well, I don't really want to. I mean, I know you guys probably have other things planned, and you don't want to spoil them. Surprise. But I guess considering Macross was two questions. Considering Macross was one of your things, is it ever a possibility that could be Kickstarted? Yes or no? And I'll take a no because I understand how things are with it. But and also, you say you know Kenichi Sonoda.
Yeah.
And I know he's retired now and gone back to his home city, the hometown, whatever. Is it ever possible? Has he ever expressed interest in coming to this con?
He just was at Anime Central. He's still working. I mean, in case for those of you who don't know, Kenichi Sonoda's family owns this very famous candy store that basically became famous for catering an invasion of Korea back in the day, like 300-400 years ago. Literally, they were the official sweet supplier for the invasion of Korea.
Is that in history books?
Yes!
Oh, man.
They have a logo that says that.
Yeah, so you know, official purveyor of sweets to the shogun, and stuff like that. So, and he, now that his parents have passed, he basically is the 15th generation heir to this candy empire. It's actually just a couple of small shops, but actually, Sasha, can you show them the?
Megan, you can.
Yeah,
What?
I actually for Sasha, I actually bought some of the bags.
I
There we go.
I asked him to bring me back some candy from Sonodaya,
I ate all the candy.
so he gave me the packaging instead.
But yeah, so all of the packaging has Sonoda's art on it.
Thank you.
So he has
You're
like
welcome.
he has different characters for the different flavors that he came up with. So I think this one is, I do not remember, original, oh,
It's very tasty. If you like
I'll
that
just
kind
have
of
to
candy.
trust you on that one. And then, I know he has a Twitter that he has some really, really cute illustrations on of his characters.
Yeah.
Well,
In fairness to me, I only had a few pieces, and Natsumi ate most of it.
oh, they came out with like a lemon flavored one recently, so they have a new girl for it. So,
Yeah.
really, really cute. And I think on the official webpage for the shop, you can buy the candy, but I think you might also be able to buy just the bags or just some goods with the characters on there.
Well, anyway, so he's working on that, but he still draws. I mean, he's working on his Bean Bandit project, and he still has to. We're waiting on a couple of manga pages from it before we can finish up Concert Cats. And what was the other question?
Well, I was wondering.
Oh, Macross.
Macross, and is he considered, was it possible he could come to, this?
You can certainly ask him if the con wants to invite him. We'll be happy to pass on. If you can't get through to him directly, then I'll be happy to pass on the invite. Just have him get in touch with me.
Well, I'm not I don't represent the con.
Right. Well, so the first step is, convince the con to invite him.
Good idea. Okay, and the other one was about Macross.
Yeah, Macross. The never-ending saga of the Macross rights. Oh.
That's what I have. You did it once before.
I think that's a
Yeah, but that was one of the. You heard of that mystical place where like the clouds cover it except for like one night when they open up and you can see it and then it disappears again. That was the situation with the Macross rights and our rights to do it and stuff like that, and that's a whole complicated situation which you would have to get me drunk to get the full story, and I don't drink, so but the bottom line is it's a great show, and if the possibility ever came up for us to give it the same kind of release that we did back in the day in DVD and do it on Blu-ray, then sure, I'm all for that, either me or somebody else doing it, because it deserves to get a really nice release.
I was actually going to say something about the Macross rights. I'm not getting into any detail either, but there's a guy on YouTube called Toy Galaxy, and he's been doing these video series on the Robotech line, the history of it. So he did one recently about like the litigation rights. This is all involving Harmony Gold, and it's all about like it's supposed to expire by 2021 if Harmony Gold can't make anything out of Robotech. And I guess they're making everything on a live-action movie that I hope doesn't come out, so that we can get Macross properly. I know it's making you happy. I want it too. Anyways, just watch the Toy Galaxy guy. He goes into all that. I'm not going.
Okay, next.
Hello. I actually had a past and future question to ask you. One of the early releases you had in the early 2000s was that Iraqi Bow.
You're mispronouncing it.
I guess my first part of my question was what was it like picking that thing up before everything kind of exploded? Because right now it's like arguably one of like the top shows, like his products. And I heard there were some problems behind the scene with it when you had it. But I guess the other half of it would be, considering how hot it is there even a chance in hell of it ever getting possibly picked up, or is it just too expensive because now he's like a hot ticket commodity?
It was a pretty standard release for us.
And my mom would love you for that, right?
Yeah. Well, then, if your mom wants it to be done, then it must be done. But no, it was a pretty standard release for us, and the license lapsed, and because we couldn't come to licenses lapse when we can't come to a deal to extend them for a price that makes sense. And the answer is, if it's possible to do, and it makes sense that we're gonna, make a decent profit, or at least be able to convince ourselves that we're gonna make a decent profit, then it'll get done. And the same goes for, other companies like, Discotek's picked up some of our old stuff and done very nice re-releases of it, and I think that's great. I love for this stuff to be available once again. Okay, we are pretty much out of time, and I have swag to give away.
We know you want some.
You know we want some. So
Thanks, man.
basically, can I have that? Okay, good. Basically, what happened here is my wife said, "Get rid of this shit." So, I have Ninja t-shirts in size XL only. I think it's only XLs. So we got those. Now this is something special. These are goodie bags, the original goodie bags from Otaku no Video.
And just
From
so you know,
Japan.
he doesn't play favorites with us. Like when they did the Otaku no Video, the posters that they were able to find back in Japan, and they shipped to him.
Oh, there's those mini CDs too.
And the mini CDs, and he did the lottery and stuff, and they got them. We didn't get any. So, like,
Well, you can have a bag.
Aww.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For all my hard work.
So these have been out of print for like 25 years.
I love
These were made for the original promotional release, and so basically when we were at Gynax a couple years ago, they basically cleaned out their closet and dumped their junk on us. And I've been trying to get rid of these ever since, but they are really neat bags, so if you like an Otaku no Video bag, you can have one. And then finally, old leftover posters.
Ooh.
Some from Otaku no Video. These are the original release posters. In fact, there's
That we didn't know about.
We didn't get any. We didn't get any.
there's what I think I've got like a couple from each of 82 and 85.
Those are beautiful posters.
Yeah. This is back from when the LDs were $100, and so they had money to spend on posters. And I also have one of the old original Bubblegum Princess posters.
Oh my God. Oh.
These are kind
Death
of
match.
damaged a little bit, but yeah, maybe you can make something out of it. So,
Death match.
let the feeding frenzy begin.
Yay.
I'm more interested in local prices.
And are there extra patches?
These patches are test patches we do with the gold stuff. These only go to the people actually worked on the project, but the final production patch we're going to do is going to be identical, except the letter is going to be in white.
How many shirts are there?
Half dozen.
I'll take one of the bags.
Coins and patches, would you like them?
Well, one, I've already got mine.
I'm surprised there's not a bum rush for this stuff.
Here you go.
Thank you for your service.
Those goodies were only available to people who backed the Kickstarter. Actually, it's a weird story. I had to reorder the coins. The coins were made in 2 different sizes, and I had to reorder the larger size coin because we were a little bit short. And the factory made a mistake and actually made the smaller one and sent me like 500 of these. And so I'm now desperately giving them away to people who back this, anywhere to go. Like, here, have a few coins, because I've got like 500. I've got like literally 70 pounds of coins.
Well, I have a couple of them now, like a couple.
You want some
kilos.
more?
Have you thought about minting your coins?
I gave a bunch to Logan when he was in town, and I was just like, here, take some.
Take these.
Well, you know what? Since you're sharing the love.
Yeah, that's the
Now we're even.
weird stuff that happens in the anime business.
This is the bane of our existence.
So if there are any questions you have that are like questions that you like answered, but that should not be shared with those people who like actually come in on time rather than the truly deserving who come early, you should ask them now before we get the session started.
What do we do with the unworthy?
I'm sorry?
What do we do with the unworthy?
The unworthy? Just smile and
They'll be judged.
let them know that they are unworthy. You don't have to be nasty about it.
You hadn't filled your thought out?
No. I just grabbed it and I was like, all right, time for lunch.
Has there been a theme so far in the titles you've chosen to produce or rather license?
Generally, it's stuff that we say, well, we think we'll enjoy working on it, and I think we'll maybe make money. Traditionally, the titles that we have done where we were like, we said, well, we don't really like it, but we know it's going to make a shit ton of money, end up being complete disasters. They're horrible to work on, and they didn't make money. So traditionally, we learned our lesson pretty early that just work on stuff that you enjoy, and if it sells really well, great. And if it just breaks even, that's also good. At least you worked on something you enjoy.
The seal's not broken.
I might have just been looked. Do you have one of these already, Robert?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I just
I don't
didn't
have
see
it.
it on your.
I left it back in the office.
If you want to hold on to it, you're welcome.
No, you just hold on to your shot. You're the one who kind of did it.
Why do you say it like it's a? You're the one who did it.
You know, applying blame is sort of my job, isn't it?
This is why you're the hardest working woman in the anime industry, because you got to take it from them. Because you know you're doing a good job.
No, he has to put up with me. That's what it comes down to.
I just don't understand people sometimes.
But thank you.
I was trying to be nice,
It's
so that I'm on your
appreciated.
good side.
It's appreciated.
It's like, she says, like, I want to spend another 50 hours proofreading. Okay.
When was the last time I said that? The proofreading is like.
Tuesday.
It's an all ages panel, so be careful.
Language, sir.
Should just start chucking these at people's heads. In like.
Yo, we should have brought the t-shirt shooter from those baseball games and just blow those into there, and
Oh my god.
hopefully it doesn't
A
impale
sock.
anyone in the skull. But
Yeah, fill a
well, no,
sock-
it's got the
sock with these.
it's got plastic around it, so like it won't hurt as bad.
Stuff them in a sock.
I don't know. I don't know why I'm still alive sometimes.
You remember the old Star Trek phaser toy that shot the little plastic discs
Mm-hmm.
in the 60s? You know,
I
when
know
was a
I
kid.
know of that toy.
They still made them,
But-
they just weren't called. They just weren't Star Trek brand. But they were like little. Pew, pew.
What was it? They made like Star Trek construction helmets and stuff. Like that never came up in the show.
See, I watched Star Trek when it was
Watch your mouth.
when it was actually on live TV,
Okay, that's it.
original run.
Submarine warfare.
And my mother would put me through heck in terms of doing chores and stuff to allow me to stay up late, because in the final season it moved to a later time slot. It was past my bedtime.
This was before the invention of VCRs and tapes, so.
This was before the invention of color TV, almost.
Did that phone crap out?
No, I'm just.
You just set it down?
My hand got tired when it actually starts.
Okay.
Unless you want all this. I got some.
No, not really. I should probably stop. I didn't know. I thought we started.